The at least day-long media tour of the forewoman in the grand jury operating for the Fulton County investigation of Donald Trump drew a lot of criticism. I think it's fair to say we were a little bit critical of her choosing to do this yesterday on the show. That said, some of the criticism coming from the right has quickly moved into territory I would call deranged. We're gonna start off with someone who is comparatively keeping it together, and you wouldn't expect this coming from Donald Trump, who bleated, "This Georgia case is ridiculous, a strictly political continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time. Now you have an extremely energetic young woman, the get this four-person." What's the get this on the four-person? Is that like a person rather than man or woman thing? I don't even understand what point you're trying to make. But anyway, he says, of the racist DA's special grand jury going around and doing a media tour revealing, incredibly, the grand jury's inner workings and thoughts. This is not justice. This is an illegal capital K kangaroo court. Atlanta is leading the nation in murder and other violent crimes. All I did is make 2 perfect phone calls. There's a lot that I don't understand about that. I'm not sure what the reference to the racist DA is. I know that he calls the woman in the Southern District of New York racist for some reason. What, are they all racist? Is he getting mixed up about which investigation he's talking about? I don't know. It's hard to focus on the weird racist thing with all the misogyny that's just slathered over that. But Burbank, what do you think?
I think it's because Fani Willis in Georgia, her father was a Black Panther. So when she was talking about the case, she was very happy with the racial makeup of the jury. She says, my father fought for our right to vote. So I think it's because she's anti-racist and conservatives believe that means they are racist.
Okay, well, that makes some sense inside of his insanity. All I did is make 2 perfect phone calls. First of all, even if they were perfect, which they weren't, that is not all that you did when it comes to Fulton County, let alone Georgia, let alone America. Let's be clear about that. But I do want to remind people, because it's now been like 2+ years since that perfect phone call. Just one of the things he said, and the transcript's available. You can go read how much pressure he and his team were putting on Brad Raffensperger, the Secretary of State. Just one of the things he said was, I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is 1 more than we have. That's very specifically a direct quote. I just want you to find exactly the amount of votes I need to win. I don't know why it takes 2 years to figure out if he was trying to change the results, illegally change the results of the election. It's obvious, it's explicit in that statement, but we're supposed to pretend that this is hard to figure out, that we got to get into motivations and how perfect the call was. In any event, while we're doing that, it mildly sucks that now the fact that the four-person went on the media means that they get to attack her, which they are. His lawyers joined in. One of them, named Findling, says the end product is the reliability of anything that has taken place in there is completely tainted and called into question. He said that he held no chagrin for a 30-year-old four-person who was part of a failed system. She's a product of a circus that cloaked itself as a special purpose grand jury. It's not a joking matter. It's not a matter for giggles. It's not a matter for smiles. And I find that to be ironic because I'm imagining that if you serve as a lawyer for Donald Trump, you've probably more than once in your life told a woman to just give you a little smile. So now all of a sudden when she does, you don't like it anymore. But they are using this, Jessica, as a lot of people predicted, to try to throw out preemptively the indictments that might or might not even be coming. What do you think?
I'm just like upset that it takes a DA in Atlanta, Georgia to do what Merrick Garland should have done so long ago. I mean, the evidence is so obvious. Why are we putting all of this pressure on not only this district attorney in Atlanta, but now this jury of just American citizens that were called upon to do their civic duty? And now someone with a huge base is targeting the four-person of the jury, putting them in a really dangerous situation. Like, to me, it's terrible that Trump is doing this. Of course, it's wrong, but it's also a failure of Merrick Garland that we're in this situation at all.
Yeah, no, totally. Like we should not have to pin our hopes on these little regional or local or county level investigations. I mean, they have their perfect legal right to undergo these things or whatever, but it shouldn't rely on this. Like, the phone call was not perfect, it was terrible. But how does that compare to the coup that he launched? It seems relatively mild in comparison to that. They're connected, include it, whatever. But the coup's the bad thing. So it's weird, and I agree. Like, that's why I'm not trying to put too much on the foreperson. The foreperson was apparently reached out to and asked to appear on the news. And by the way, if this does hurt the case, then yeah, I think that she in effect will be somewhat responsible, at this late stage of the game. But the media that asked her to come on is also responsible. They know that that's not how this stuff is supposed to go. In any event, oh, sorry, Jessica, continue.
Just, can a phone call be perfect and criminal? I would say probably yes. One day I aspire to make a perfect phone call as well that is not criminal. But the interesting thing that he calls the justice system corrupt, he appointed so many Supreme Court justices that overturned Roe versus Wade. They overturned popular policy in the United States. And for some reason, the system that he doesn't like is one in which people have to stand for election to become a district attorney. Like, it's just anti-democratic, that criticism of the justice system.
Well, and this is the game that they play in everything. Like, Elon Musk was berating his engineers for like not being able to explain how he was being shadow banned. Dude, you own it. Like, they can literally own the system and still attack the system as being unfair.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.